Number 10. The literal warnings from viewers. Despite 8 Passengers' popularity during its run, Frank's parenting style drew scrutiny and allegations of mistreatment from viewers very early on. Following a viewerschange.org petition to have the Franks investigated, Utah's Division of and Family Services visited the Franks' home and interviewed the children for 2 hours. According to a DCFS letter reviewed by Insider, the case was dropped due to a lack of evidence for the allegations. In an interview with the same outlet in 2020, Frank explained, "What people aren't understanding is that we are giving our choice in everything. We are teaching our children to be self-governing, so I was always very open with our son that he gets to choose how long he's separate from his brother, depending on his behavior." One incident that concerned viewers occurred when the Franks' daughter Eve went to school one day without her lunch. In a vlog, Ruby recalled a text message that she received from Eve's teacher asking whether she would be able to drop off some food to school, and Ruby responded with, "Eve is responsible for making her own lunches in the morning, so the natural outcome is she's gonna be hungry. Hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her lunch." You ever just wanna throw someone off a cliff? Number 9. Filmed herself. One of the biggest red flags of all is her obliviousness to what she has been doing. Not only did this woman mistreat her family, she filmed the entire thing. Seriously, someone must have told her that she was the best vlogger around, because despite being an actual piece of trash come to life, she continued to film every single terrible thing she ever did and shared it with the world. I'm not gonna get too deep into it because I can't talk about it. She has filmed herself making her cry, demanding that they apologize for little things, and literally calling them liars. Her eldest kids have even gone so far as to disown their mom, removing her as the legal guardian. According to the eldest, they have been trying to call their mom out for years, but their cries fell on deaf ears. Finally being vindicated and seeing justice play out. Number 8. Her channel. Per Fox 13, Frank and her husband Kevin Frank are a Mormon couple and parents of 6 Cherie, Chad, Abby, Julie, Russell, and Eve. In 2015, the couple started the 8 Passengers channel on YouTube that documented the family's daily life. According to NPR, the most viewed clips from the channel showed the experiences growing up, such as them trying on clothes and being disciplined. At the height of its popularity, 8 Passengers had 2.5 million subscribers, only it was shut down this year. The main cause of the shutdown was the fact that those 2.5 million viewers were extremely concerned for the family and were noticing patterns of mistreatment from day one. Ruby thought she was popular for being a good parent, but people were just watching her videos in disbelief that a person this dense actually existed. Number 7. She's withholding. If Ruby knows how to do one thing wrong, it's be a parent. Since being arrested, thousands of fans have released video evidence of her being horrible over the years. One of her biggest overreactions that was documented was her refusal to celebrate Christmas one year to teach her a lesson about being selfish. Ruby literally showed them all of the gifts that she bought them and never gave them to the kids. She also refused to bring her daughter lunch one day after accidentally leaving it at home, like I talked about earlier, literally keeping food from the mouth of the person you're supposed to feed. It's disgusting. This woman deserves all the hate she is receiving, and I hope she gets put away for a very, very long time. Number 6. Neighbors warned CPS. In the aftermath of Frank and Hildebrandt's arrests, 2 unidentified neighbors of Ruby Frank in Springfield, Utah spoke to NBC News, revealing that some people in the neighborhood earlier contacted the Utah Division of Child and Family Services over concerns about the welfare of the kids. Frank's neighbors also alleged that she began spending more time away from her home after she got involved with the company Connections. An anonymous source told NBC News that Frank kicked her husband Kevin out of their house last year. People have reached out to lawyers representing Kevin Frank, but they did not immediately hear back, so it's unclear if Frank or Hildebrandt have retained attorneys to speak on their behalf at this very moment. Number 5. Her advice is terrible. Despite being a famous family vlogger, most people think her advice is just trash. The woman behind 8 Passengers, aka The Devil, is known for spouting some absolute nonsense. She shared her so-called parenting advice on her YouTube channel, which was basically ignore your when they cry for help and no pranks in the house. One of her most controversial comments / bad advice was suggesting that eating disorders were something made up for attention and are something to be ignored entirely. Anyone who's ever suffered from an eating disorder before knows for a fact that that's not the case. In fact, most times it's something uncontrollable, like a reaction to some serious life stuff. Stress, anxiety, literally so many things can cause that issue. She has said a million things that are wrong and cruel, but I'm not gonna get into all of them because my head might physically explode. I don't like this lady. Number 4. her business partner. Following 8 passengers, Frank launched the Connections podcast with Jody Hildebrandt, a therapist and founder of a self-improvement and empowerment company of the same name. According to the company's mission statement on its website, they invite and encourage healing and facilitate personal growth through impeccable honesty, rigorous personal responsibility, and humility. Okay. Per USA Today, viewers described both Frank and Hildebrandt's philosophy on parenting as extremely strict. In an April 2023 interview with the Into the Light podcast recorded before her mother's arrest, Cherie Frank explained that her family's involvement in the Connections company was a reason for her estranged relationship. She said that they joined Connections so that they could be growth-oriented. However, over time, according to her, Connections' teachings became more extreme and made her wonder if they were in accordance with her Christian beliefs. Her business partner is also involved in the arrest, as she is suspected to not only have knowledge of the mistreatment, but that she actively encouraged it. Number 3. Uncomfortable family. The proof that this woman was a literal monster comes from her interactions with her own family. Over the years, whether it's been online or in her own personal life, Ruby really likes to just document everything that happens for the cameras. Every time someone from her life is on camera, they just look immediately uncomfortable. They always seem to be taken off guard and in fear of what this woman might say next. In family portraits taken over the years, you can literally see Ruby with an iron grip on her as if she's going to pick them up and walk away the moment the photo is taken. Since the news of her arrest has come out, her eldest have come forward to confirm their mother's behavior over the years, claiming that family photos meant everyone make mom look good, or else. This woman is terrible, and I'm not going to try to be funny here because there's just no reason to be. She's terrible. That's it. She's terrible. Number 2, pranking. Ruby may be known for her strict parenting skills, but in May of this year, she posted a video with her son Chad titled "What We Haven't Told You." This video may have been the first red flag, and honestly should have been. In the video, Chad confessed that he was forced to sleep on a beanbag chair for 7 months in their basement as a punishment for tricking his little brother into thinking the family was going to Disneyland. This was something that had recently happened, as Chad mentioned that he was just given his room back a few weeks prior to filming the video, and that video came out in May of this year. Chad told the story of the prank, and while it's cruel for sure, his mother's reaction is beyond extreme. According to Ruby, this was not the main reason she had forced him into the chair, claiming that he had been behind some extreme jokes on his younger siblings. But while they laughed this off initially, nobody thought this was funny, and thousands of comments were left claiming that this was just another form of neglect. Now, neglect is not the right word to use here, but I'm not allowed to say the real one on the internet. And at number 1, she's TikTok famous. TikTok is the reason that some truly terrible people have a massive following around the world. Ruby is one of those people. Over the years, to boost her views, Ruby has been posting TikToks with either edited footage from her YouTube channel or just straight up something that she made at home. While the videos have amassed millions of likes and views, it's not for the right reasons. The videos that are most popular see her giving either terrible parenting advice or showcasing just how horrible this woman really is. Her reaction to her behavior is truly something to behold. It seems like everything they do deserves just an overreaction. In one TikTok with over 11.3 million views, Ruby is scolding her youngest for not being excited about going to the movies, literally forcing her to smile and apologize. Several other TikToks showcase her reacting to her family and them having this face of just sheer terror. Every other day, she was tormenting the people she loved and treating them like dirt. So those are the Ruby red flags that we should have seen coming. Let us know how much you hate Ruby in the comments below. This video touches on some truly heavy subject matter, so I've asked the editor of this to include links to mental health services that are open 24/7. Please reach out if you feel that anything in this video related to you or somebody that you love.
Coming in at number 10 today, we have the mattress photo controversy. So Gucci is currently receiving backlash on social media from social media users for an ad campaign that was posted on December 19th starring Harry Styles. Since last week, the brand has continued to post photos of Styles on Instagram while they were promoting Gucci's Ha 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 campaign. In the ads, Harry could be seen posing with what appears to be a smaller sized mattress as he is dressed in a teddy bear graphic tee and trousers. While the campaign was first introduced back in November, Gucci is now facing criticism for the set props, with the props being a children's mattress this, many people have been addressing their concerns, with one person saying, "Why is a toddler bed in this? Why the teddy bear t-shirt? What is the angle aside from Strange Things?" And a lot of people have been pointing out that the similarities that Gucci's campaign had are pretty similar to Balenciaga's campaign. That was embroiled just weeks before online after the campaign involved children holding French labeled teddy bears wearing some adult gear. With Balenciaga and Gucci being owned by the same company, the controversy wasn't really a shock to many. However, now it just proves that something concerning is going on with parent company Kering, as they keep bringing children into their campaigns under concerning circumstances. Though Gucci hasn't really spoken out about the ads yet, the campaign came to light under the director of Alessandro Michele, who since left the company after becoming the creative director back in 2015. Coming at number 9, the Vogue cover. So back in November 2020, Harry Styles would make history as he became the first non-female to have a solo cover in Vogue magazine in the 128 years it's been in print. For his cover shoot, Harry would end up being photographed by Tyler Mitchell. In the photos taken, it could be seen that Harry was wearing a variety of different dresses and brightly colored blouses. While many people praised Harry for breaking down gender norms, there was also a lot of people who criticized him for wearing such feminine pieces, including many conservatives like Candace Owens, who called his Vogue cover an outright attack on the manly men. While his fans and other celebrities came to his defense, like Jamila Jamil, she would even come out in a tweet to say Harry Styles is plenty manly because manly is whatever you want it to be, not what some insecure toxic woman hating D-heads decided it was 100 years ago. He's 104% perfect. Harry also spoke out about the backlash, telling Variety to not wear something because it's feminine clothing. You should shut out a whole world of great clothes, and I think what's exciting about right now is I can wear whatever I want to. It doesn't have to be X or Y. Those lines are becoming more blurred. However, even actor Billy Porter would criticize the cover by saying he felt disconnected from the opportunities for being a gay black man. Coming at number 8 today, we have the Harry House merchandise symbol. Since the release of his third studio album, Harry House, in May of 2022, fans have been eagerly waiting for Harry Styles to drop new merchandise. In August, when the new merchandise was finally announced, it would come with some serious backlash as fans would claim the two capital H's had some anti-Semitic roots, and the signs have been banned in various European countries. With Harry's symbol referencing a certain German symbol, as he would have his logos printed on hats, and he was selling them on tour. When Harry launched his second leg of his Love on tour, he would also release an array of new Harry House merch. And it was so popular, fans were even encouraged to visit the tour venues early to get their hands on it. However, when fans started to point out the Semitic symbol, Harry's team appeared to have responded to the backlash by replacing the hat with an amended version of it, with one fan tweeting, "I get it's supposed to stand for Harry House, but if I see someone walking around with HH on them, I'm gonna assume that it's not Harry Styles fans. I'm gonna assume that the HH means the same thing as 88. And another person even added, "Please take it out of the merch line because it's very triggering and hurtful, not towards Germans, but also especially towards Jewish people." Along with the hats, Harry also had a logo printed on his shirt and hoodies that were uploaded to his website, where you could purchase them before his team decided to change the logo. And number 7, song plagiarism accusations. Throughout the history of music, from time to time, thousands of cases of plagiarism allegations have been reported. With new controversies arising around copyrights in different parts of the world, I don't think any of us were really shocked when fans in Argentina started targeting Harry Styles for plagiarizing his new single, As It Was. When the British artist shared on his social media a small preview of the song for a few seconds on December 13th, detailing the song that will be available on April 1st, instantly, Twitter started to claim that the preview of the song was identical to a song by an Argentina group, Miranda, called El Profe. A few hours later, the Latin American band would become a huge trend on Twitter, and when more tweets started to appear, they seemed to demand justice for the alleged creator for stealing a project from another music group. With his debut album, he also has been accused of using an identical guitar riff as the 1968 Beatles song Blackbird. While Harry tends to stay away from the attention, we definitely won't see him speak on this matter anytime soon unless it magically becomes a topic that truly matters to the star. Coming in number 6 today, we have ignored ignored BLM sign. So back in 2017, after the release of his first solo album, Harry would embark on tour and he would start playing at a number of different shows. While he was acknowledging the LGBTQ flags and spoke out in support of women, fans would become slightly outraged when he chose to ignore the Black Lives Matter flags in the crowd. In a blog post written by Infinity, writer Victoria Monar would question why Styles had chosen to remain silent when it came to the Black Lives Matter issue and why he still hasn't used his massive platform to raise awareness for the issue. During a concert in London, audience members had been given signs that read Black Lives Matter, and one fan even ended up throwing their sign on the stage. Although Harry didn't pick up the sign or look at it, chose to completely ignore the flags and the signs, and he even proceeded to step on them on the stage. During an interview with New York Times, Style had even been asked if any outside chaos had influenced his solo album, referring to the issues of the Brexit, Black Lives Matter, and the American election at the time. Style would then go on to say, with a really vague answer, Sign of the Times had been looking at several different things. When he was asked what those kind of things were, he then told the interviewer everything you were talking about. At number 5, we have the Roy Moore joke. While guest hosting on the Late Late Show for James Corden back in 2017, Styles made a joke that didn't really go down quite as well with his fans that he thought it would, according to the Daily Mail. During his open monologue, Harry would even decide to make a joke about the Republican Senate Roy Moore, who had just lost to a Democrat, Doug Jones, in Alabama, which is typically a state that tends to be a red state. Harry would then go on to say, if you're anything like me, the only thing that you and your friends are talking about at the moment is the Alabama state race. Many of you would think that I'm unfamiliar with Roy Moore for being a Brit. That is not true. I am very familiar with Roy Moore. I've had to throw him out of a dozen of my concerts. While the audience did have a good laugh at the joke, many fans on Twitter didn't share the same thought, with one user saying, "You think because he's Harry Styles he gets a pass, well sis he doesn't. You can keep screaming at the wall, but the rest of us will hold him accountable." Now, Harry has never issued an apology or acknowledging the joke after he received backlash for it, and you probably won't, especially since the controversy surrounding Roy Moore surrounds children. Coming at number 4 today, we have culture appropriation. Back when Harry was still in One Direction, he decided it would be a good idea to post a black and white photo of himself wearing a Native American headdress. With the photo receiving immediate backlash, a One Direction Twitter fan page called He's Problematic would be the first to comment on the photos after Harry uploaded them. The page would then say, Harry appropriated the Native American culture by posing in a native headdress and putting up a picture of himself in it on social media. People called him out for culture appropriation, but again, he never apologized for it. Now, it wasn't the first time that Harry has made some headlines about culture appropriation, as the page also called him out on retweeting pictures of himself in a digitalized blackface with other edits that mocked Black culture. And just like the issue with the headdress, he never issued an apology, even though people called him out for it. I think it would be a great time to note that cultural appropriation is not nice regardless of the context or intent. So before you get braids or wear a headdress, maybe think about why these things are so sacred and why they hurt certain cultures, and admire them from afar and just leave it at that. After Harry's photos received a horrendous amount of backlash, he would take photos down and would proceed to stay quiet on the issue, as he has never issued an apology for his actions. And number 3, the Super Bowl announcement. So in 2020, Harry would announce that he would be performing at the Super Bowl event in Florida. According to the Metro, the announcement was immediately met with backlash. While many of Harry's fans urged the singer to pull out of the performance due to the NFL's racist past, especially with how they treated some former players, he ultimately decided to go ahead and perform at the NFL Pepsi Super Bowl party, with both the NFL and Pepsi being known for being racist. Harry's decision to perform at the event contradicts his claims to support Black Lives Matter, with his black fans requesting him to back out of the trend by creating a hashtag #HarryBackOut on Twitter. They would find themselves being ignored on social media, with the hashtag trending on social media. Many of Harry's fans would urge Harry to cancel his performance, while many people understood it might be hard for him not to perform due to his contractual agreement. They would encourage Harry to donate any money he made at the event to a Black Lives Matter organization, with one fan writing, "POC, fans have the right to feel valued and respected." And If they aren't, I understand that Harry can't back out. Because of a contract, but he can speak up more and he can donate to BLM or other causes. And while his fans made some amazing suggestions, Harry did not donate the money that he made at the event to any cause. Coming at number 2 today, we have Olivia Wilde. With 2022 being a big year for Harry Styles as he's been touring, the singer also got his break in acting as he had the chance to star in Don't Worry Darling and My Policeman. With both films releasing soon, none of us really know what to expect from the star, which makes the anticipation really high for these films. During an interview with Rolling Stone, Harry would extensively discuss his relationship with Olivia Wilde, which began after they met on the set of Don't Worry Darling. While Harry's fans tend to be really supportive of his new relationships, his relationship with Olivia is one his fans just can't get over as they keep urging the star to leave her. With Olivia cheating on Jason Sudeikis to get with Harry Styles, there would soon be a lot of toxic negativity that started to surround Harry's relationship with Olivia. With having a 10-year age gap, fans would even start to make jokes and troll Olivia. Although she was a good sport when it came to the criticism, we all kept saying that there was something really off about her nice and friendly nature. And then the cast members of Don't Worry Darling started to speak up about how horrible she was to them on the set. And anyone who dates someone that horrible is known to be just as bad. And coming in at number 1 today, we have My Policeman. Harry Styles has been slammed by fans after making a comment that the film's deception of gay intimate scenes are usually 2 guys going at it. When the singer spoke to Rolling Stone about his new film, My Policeman, in which he plays a homosexual police officer hiding his sexuality in the 1950s, he would ignite some serious backlash when he spoke of his desire to express tenderness in the film's love scenes. Harry, who also detailed his refusal to confirm to a sexuality label to discuss his journey to figuring out his sexuality, said that the intimate scenes between the 2 men in the films is just them going at it, and it removes all the tenderness of love from it. Harry would then go on to know, I would imagine that some people who watch it, who are very much alive during the time when it was illegal to be gay, and wanted to show that it is tender, loving, and sensitive. With one fan coming out to say, if he doesn't want to label himself, I don't care, but he shouldn't be giving his opinion about a community that he doesn't even want to claim.
Number 10. She was pressured into marriage. While Nicole was excited to be married at first, nowadays she realizes the particularly pressure-filled situation that she was actually in. At the tender age of 23, Nicole Kidman tied the knot with Tom Cruise, who was then 28. Per Entertainment Weekly, they celebrated their nuptials in a cozy little ceremony under the Colorado sun. By today's standards, 23 certainly seems a little bit young to settle down, but love is love, so just let them do what they're gonna do. Kidman has gone on record claiming that the situation was a whirlwind of emotions. She was thrust into the world of stardom and fame alongside her already established husband, Tom Cruise. She also mentions that throughout their first year together, Tom was a very different man. He was attentive and almost sweet, but things eventually grew sour, and after 11 years, Kidman woke up and realized what was going on. Number 9. The wedding ban. One of the kids that these two share, Connor Cruise, was set to be married a few years back and was really hoping that his mama Nikki would be in attendance. However, an insider spilled the juices of Connor Cruise's wedding and said that Top Gun Maverick star Tom Cruise banned Kidman from ever entering the event. As per the reports, the Endless Love actor didn't want Nicole Kidman to attend his son's wedding as she is considered to be suppressive by the Church of Science, let's say. And also, Cruise just doesn't want any association with her in general. Ever since their separation, it's almost as if Tom has just wiped Kidman from his memory. He ignores her at every possible moment. These two have not spoken in over 20 years despite sharing a troubled past and, children, which is famously great for development, just ignoring your kids. Kidman has never actually gone public on the specific reason that Tom avoids her like the plague, but sure, people avoid their exes all the time. But these guys have such a long history together, the idea that there seems to be some specific reason or something more behind the cold shoulder is a mystery only Nicole can solve. Number 8. He's a bad dad. Cruz has 3 children, Isabella and Connor, who were adopted during his marriage to Nicole, and Suri, who he fathered with Katie Holmes before their split. The first sign of Tom Cruise being a bad dad came in 2015 when he missed his eldest daughter's wedding, despite her being heavily involved in the church, going so far as to have a science-themed wedding. While Bella does keep contact with her father, the same cannot be said for Tom's other kids. According to a June 2016 report from In Touch, Cruise hasn't had contact with Suri in years. According to insiders, this is simply due to his wanting to distance himself from his ex, Katie, and by association, his daughter. But it's not just Katie's kids that Tom has trouble with. Nicole's kids, Isabella and Connor, were adopted into the family unit and raised as their own, but when Nicole split from Tom, the relationship with them became very difficult. Their father was with a new woman, and soon after, that woman had a child, and then they had a new sibling. So up until they were adults, Tom rarely spoke to his kids, leaving Nicole to be the single mom, which apparently she did a stellar job at, as her kids have had nothing but nice things to say about this woman. Number 7. She was wired by Tom. Now, while Nicole has never actually confirmed that this is in fact the truth, a documentary centering around his scientific beliefs released info on Science and Hollywood, claiming that Tom had wiretapped Nicole Kidman's phone. According to former members of the church, Kidman was a target due to her father being a psychologist, something that they didn't believe was a real profession, making him an enemy in their eyes. During his marriage to Nicole, he actually started distancing himself from the group and their activities, particularly when he was filming Eyes Wide Shut in England. In an effort to bring Cruise back into the fold, the church made the effort to undermine his relationship and, at Cruise's request, allegedly hired a private investigator to tap Kidman's phone. The church also worked to turn the couple's son and daughter against Kidman, convincing them that she was a suppressive person. That of course did not work. In fact, the opposite effect happened. Her kids got closer to her and she started to realize how frickin' insane Tom is. Now, Kidman has never actually confirmed if this is real or not, but if Tom Cruise wiretapped your phone, would you go around telling people about it? Yes, that is a great story. Number 6. Won't talk about Eyes Wide Shut. Eyes Wide Shut was the first collaboration between the couple, which was a dramatic thriller from 1999. Tom plays a Manhattan doctor who embarks on a bizarre night-long odyssey after his wife's admission of unfulfilled longing. The film itself received pretty solid reviews, but the actual shoot was anything but solid. So liquid then. Stanley Kubrick directed this flick, the man behind the live-action adaptation of The Shining by Stephen King. Kubrick had some pretty odd requests for his actors though during their time on set. Kidman has opened up over the years about her struggles. Kubrick made it so that Nicole and Tom cannot be with each other after shooting, to help maintain the air of psychological and physical alienation. This move was made as a creative effort, but many speculate that Kidman actually may have spoken to Kubrick to request this stipulation. According to the writer of the shoot, Tom was not very nice to Nicole, but we'll get into that one in a minute. The most shocking of rules was that Kubrick wanted to film all of Nicole's lovemaking scenes in a 6-day span. Her partner in these scenes, of course, was not Tom Cruise. In fact, it was a man acting as her fantasy character in the flick. Kidman has mentioned that Tom was not only forbidden from attending those 6 days, but that he was absolutely fuming from the situation. I'm not sure why it would have been better for him to be there, but I don't know what goes on through Tom's head. Number 5. He's a control freak. Tom is no stranger to an on-set freakout or two, but he's also made a name for himself as a bit of a control freak. Both on set and in his personal relationships, Tom feels the need to be in charge of every little thing at any given moment. An insider told Radar Online that Tom was not good at keeping a relationship, as many women found him to be too intense. To him, any partner is an extension of himself and his brand. So he's not only intense, but he's a micromanager as well. So much so that at times, Cruise has even been known to control what his partners are allowed to wear when they're in public. This made many love interests feel like members of his staff, and rightfully so. Kidman recounts Tom being a strict, almost warden-like figure in her life, controlling every little aspect of what she did and said. This created a very toxic relationship between these two, which was a big part of why they split up in 2001. Number 4. He attempts to get her on his side. Now, devoting one's life to a faith created by a science fiction writer is all well and good, but trying to talk your fellow celebrities into doing the same thing, that's pretty annoying. especially when you're married to one. I'm sure someone out there is still trying to get signatures for their Church of Lovecraft petition. It's in the link below. Sign it, please. I want it. Nicole told the Daily Mail that Cruz had an unhealthy obsession with soccer superstar David Beckham and viewed him as the ideal candidate for conversion. Sadly for Tom, that never actually happened, but it wasn't for a lack of trying though. According to Nicole, in an attempt to lure David into the Science World headquarters, Cruz ordered Sea Org, which is the short form for Science Folk Organization members, to create a full-size soccer stadium. That's right, he built a stadium like the old nerdy guy and bench warmers, and guess what? Beckham did not come. He said he would come and check it out, but Dave and his wife ditched the event and chose to ghost protocol his butt. And of course this decision was made after he tried to get Nicole involved several times, but remember, she's a difficult person according to the church. Number 3, bad husband. Tom's love life has been a part of the media circus for a very large portion of his career. His first marriage to actress Mimi Rogers only lasted 3 years before they split and Tom moved on to Nicole Kidman. Nicole and Tom got married in 1990 and they were actually together for quite some time, spending 11 years together before ultimately calling it quits in 2001. But of course his most memorable and public relationship was with Katie Holmes. Now thanks to Tom being an absolute menace, his divorces always seemed to go public, with him popping up in the media one way or another. Nicole did not appreciate having her name dragged through the mud and hated having to answer questions from journalists, claiming that Tom was actually enjoying the publicity while she was just suffering silently. Number 2. The director noticed no tension. The Oscar-winning screenwriter of the 1999 drama Eyes Wide Shut spoke to several news outlets and claimed that the leading man Tom Cruise was an egocentric control freak while casting extreme doubt on the passion between the actor and his then-wife Nicole Kidman. According to Frederick Raphael, who also functioned as a script supervisor on set, he claimed that the shoot was extremely difficult for the crew. Whatever Tom wanted needed to be done, as according to Tom, he was paying everyone, so if he says jump, you say how high. He also accused Tom of being particularly mean to Nicole Kidman off camera, claiming that he would often judge her performances silently to the side in between takes. That is just the tip of the accusation iceberg though. Nicole has actually been fairly shy when it comes to speaking about this project, but we already talked about that. It turns out it may be because the on-set drama was just too much for her to handle. Tom had apparently hired a team of personal assistants who were always at his side every second of every day. At his beck and call 24/7, the assistants always just looked exhausted and in need of a Red Bull. But his treatment of Kidman was very revealing. Tom was secretly an angry, controlling little man who couldn't even enjoy the fact that he was working with his wife. Or you know that his wife was Nicole Kidman. And at number 1, her jaw literally dropped. Nicole's description of her first meeting with Tom is something like a fairy tale. In 1989, Nicole Kidman was an up-and-coming 22-year-old who just scored her big break with the thriller Dead Calm. Meanwhile, Tom Cruise was a 27-year-old seasoned A-lister hot off of the success of Oliver Stone's anti-war film Born on the 4th of July. Cruise saw Kidman in her breakthrough role and was intent on meeting her. Per Vanity Fair, the Aussie actor was in the midst of a press junket in Tokyo when she got a call from the superstar's team. She thought, wow, this is America! Tom Cruise wants to meet me, whoa! She subsequently auditioned for a role alongside Cruise in Days of Thunder. Per the Los Angeles Times, Kidman never thought that she would get married, largely due to the influence of her feminist mother. But when she set eyes on Cruise during her audition, she was smitten. Tom pulled up in a Porsche in true Tom Cruise fashion, and when he got out of the car, Nicole recounts her jaw just dropping down. But there was a problem. Cruise was still married to his first wife and fellow actor Mimi Rogers. The couple were divorced the following year and thus began a Hollywood romance for the ages. However, Nicole's not shy when it comes to her thoughts on that first split. Sure, she was the one who he chose, but Tom divorced a woman to be with her, and he was also seeing her while he was still married, which is not a great look for Tom. Nicole has been torn about her feelings on being the other woman, but she has gone on record claiming that the situation left her feeling anxious 24/7. It wasn't until after a full year that she was comfortable with Tom, but he was still being a jerky turkey, so that victory was very short-lived. Number 10. Justin Bieber's roast. The comedy roast. The most wonderful tradition of the comedy world. A gathering of some of the funniest and most clever people on the scene coming together to make fun of each other on stage in a friendly and dark performance. In 2012, actor, comedian, scholar, and jerk James Franco participated in one of these roasts, inviting several top-tier comedians like Sarah Silverman, Aziz Ansari, and to host the show, he got his longtime buddy, Seth Rogen. One of the key members of the dais was Jonah Hill. Jonah was best known for comedic roles in movies like The Sitter and Superbad, but around 2011 he made a shift to the more serious side of filming, starring alongside Brad Pitt in the movie Moneyball. While he was sitting in his cozy little chair before his turn on the mic, everyone who came up to the stage had a joke to make about Jonah's behavior. He's been cold and rude, man, with his head jammed so far up his rear that he looks like an alien from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. When Jonah came to the stage to retort, he held his own, but his words were noticeably more scripted compared to his fellow performers who gave like a more off-the-cuff and authentic delivery. The truth has been there all along. Jonah said little to nothing to his fellow roasters following the event, apparently snubbing James himself. Everyone collaborated on a movie called This Is the End, and according to Seth Rogen, it was the last time that he ever saw Jonah Hill smiling and enjoying his time on set. It seems that his turn to the more serious side of things may have taken a toll on his ability to feel joy. Number 9. His choice of roles. Jonah's career is filled with everything from comedy blockbusters to serious dramatic pieces. He got his start working in comedy films, with one of his first performances being a brief cameo in the film 40-Year-Old Virgin before moving to a leading role in the classic cult comedy Superbad. It's one of my favorite movies, and Jonah is by far one of the best parts of it, on top of Bill Hader and Seth Rogen as cops. That's just legendary. While he started making people laughing in 2007, by the mid-2010s, Jonah had shifted his efforts to the more serious and macabre, with his roles in films like True Story and Wolf of Wall Street. He even earned an Oscar nomination for his supporting character in Moneyball with Brad Pitt. The red flag was the dramatic shift in tone from Hill as a performer. If you put his posters from the last 20 years side by side, you'll see that the older he gets, the less color there is on the page. Like, the more serious things are, the more black and white they need to be. He attempted to return to the comedy world in a recent Netflix movie called Don't Look Up, but thanks to the news of his possible tyranny arising, we doubt there will be a 23 Jump Street anytime soon. Number 8. His refusal to be interviewed. Have you ever noticed that when a Jonah Hill movie comes out, he's like never really been around to talk about it? Well, according to several celebrity news and interview sites, Jonah actually refuses to participate in most interviews simply because the ones that he has done in the past have just been extremely uncomfortable. When he was doing press for the movie Superbad, several of the interviewers were asking Jonah questions about his weight, calling him a large comedian over and over again. Now, he may be a large man, but that wasn't necessarily the selling point of Jonah Hill. The following few years, while still being involved in comedy films, Jonah was dodging questions left and right about his size, going up and down. Eventually, Jonah actually lost a ton of weight for his role alongside Channing Tatum in the comedy movie 21 Jump Street. The interviews for that film were the final straw for Jonah, though, now being asked by people why he was so thin, literally fighting one of the most unwinnable battles of interviewer time. Since the early 2010s, Jonah has been sticking to the shadows and simply being in whatever movie comes out. While the line of questioning may have caused him to avoid the interview spotlight, this was around the same time he shifted to a serious role in Moneyball, seemingly proving his mind had snapped. Number 7. Jonah's ex. Recently, a news article broke that has brought to light some troubling information about Jonah Hill. According to his ex-girlfriend Sarah Bradley, Jonah was emotionally damaging towards her during their relationship. The couple first got together in 2021, meeting on a beach as she was a surf instructor. According to a series of texts between Sarah and Jonah, it's obvious that he is mentally manipulative. He tells Sarah to remove any photos of her surfing from Instagram that showed her bum bum in a thong, and when she did that, he told her it was a good start, but that she didn't seem to get his point. He then told her, "It's not my place to teach you. I've made my boundaries clear. You refuse to let go of some of them, and you've made that clear, and I hope that makes you happy." In another screenshot, Jonah showed his plans and simple conditions for maintaining their relationship, including stating that he didn't want Sarah surfing with men. You know, like doing her job. He wrote a massive list of boundaries and rules that were clearly him trying to control everything that Sarah did. One point literally saying that she can't post pictures of herself in a bathing suit. What's she supposed to wear to the beach? A turtleneck? His manipulation is apparent and will surely shift Hollywood's opinion on the once great comedian. Number 6. The Wolf of Wall Street. Wolf of Wall Street is considered to be one of Martin Scorsese's best modern movies. The film is based on a book written by the titular wolf Jordan Belfort, chronicling his rise and demise to stock market fortune. In the film, Jonah plays Donnie Azoff, a man who actually quit his job to work for Jordan in the glory days. His character is a good time on screen, but Jonah's ability to play Donnie is just a little bit too good. Donnie's character spends the majority of the movie being a degenerate and getting his friends either arrested or injured over and over again. According to Martin Scorsese, Jonah would just walk on set and go in. No prep, no routine, he would just go. This should have been the biggest red flag of them all. If someone playing an evil wizard had just walked on set one day and started shooting lightning balls out of their hands, you'd be like, oh my god, that guy's a real wizard. When Jonah was able to easily switch between himself and the womanizing substance user he plays on screen, Martin should have called a psychiatrist to give this guy a good once-over. Number 5. His rapid change in weight. Many performers are able to shrink and grow seemingly at will. Look at Christian Bale. He has gained and lost weight over and over again for roles over the years, attributing the dramatic changes to a form of method acting, allowing him to literally embody his characters. Jonah is no stranger to this concept, as he was spotted over 100 pounds lighter in 21 Jump Street than he had previously been in the movie Moneyball. I guess when you're nominated for an Oscar, they give you some kind of a gym membership or something. We should look into that. While Jonah's rapid shrinking and growing isn't necessarily a red flag per se, we can't imagine that the rapid change is good for his body, and with the news of his possible toxic behavior, it appears that that change may have affected his mental health as well. In his most recent flick, You People, alongside comedy legend Eddie Murphy, Jonah appears to have returned to his larger build and returned to the realm of comedy. Now, I haven't personally seen the movie, but the reviews so far suggest that it may be one of those movies that you throw on in the background, you know, just kind of put it on while people are hanging out. Just not a good one. Number 4, his attitude on set. Jonah may have started his career as a comedy king, but his attitude on set is anything but fun. According to many directors over the years, Jonah is a very gifted actor, able to come to set prepared for work every day with no hesitation. The only overall problem seems to be his communication skills. Jonah is known to be a very quiet and reclusive man on set, apparently spending a majority of his time in trailers away from the cast and crew. He's also known to be rather quiet while being given directions or while waiting for a scene to be reset. Like, imagine being a PA on set, you're standing next to the guy from Superbad and he's just on his phone playing Candy Crush all day. People always say it's the quiet ones that you have to worry about, and it seems that his quiet time may have been spent contemplating the meaning of life and his role in it. Or he spends it making a mental list of all the things that his partner needs to do to please him in a relationship. That might be it too. Number 3, he turned down The Hangover. Arguably one of the funniest trilogies in recent history has been The Hangover Saga, a series of films following 3 friends trying to piece together the wild night they had before. They lose their friends on roofs, they steal monkeys, and Ken Jeong is in it, so you cannot go wrong. What many people may not know is that the role of Alan, played by Zach Galifianakis, was actually offered to Jonah Hill over 3 times before they just finally gave up. While there was no specific reason why he didn't want to participate in this, a low-budget flick called Cyrus was released not long after The Hangover started production. It seemed that Jonah wanted to work in a more serious role instead of participating in one of the highest-grossing comedy trilogies of all time. While Cyrus was an interesting movie, it follows Jonah playing the titular son, living with his mother, played by Marissa Tomei, who befriends and begins to date John C. Reilly. It's a great movie, but it's nowhere near the caliber of the Hangover series, so we just wonder how hard Jonah was kicking himself after that one. Number 2, he canned 23 Jump Street. Alright, this is an entry that actually hurts to talk about, so I just need a second because it would have been really cool if they had made it, okay? In 2012, Jonah and Channing Tatum starred in a comedy reboot of the classic crime series 21 Jump Street for a more modern audience. The film received massive success at the box office and was quickly picked up for the sequel treatment. The sequel ended up being one of those few examples in Hollywood history of a second movie being better than the first, which is why it was so surprising to hear that the planned threequel 23 Jump Street was canned by Sony Studios. The main reason being, well, it was just too ambitious for Jonah. You see, the third entry in the franchise was going to be a massive crossover between 2 Sony properties. Jonah and Channing were set to cross paths with Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith's characters from the Men in Black trilogy. The leaked script told the story of Jonah and Channing's characters investigating a new substance at a university, only to discover that the suppliers are extraterrestrials being hunted by the Men in Black. The idea of Jonah and Channing wearing that black suit and shades while holding comedically large it makes my soul sing with joy. A script was written, but ultimately the studio thought it just wouldn't make any money and end up being a massive misstep in the franchise. Apparently Jonah actually had something to do with this too. You see, while Channing was filled with excitement towards this project, Jonah felt that the entire thing was going to be one giant pain. His under-enthusiasm made the studio nervous to go forward with what would have been one of the best movies in the last 10 years. Instead, Sony decided to reboot the Men in Black franchise with Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth, and it's just bad. It's just really bad. And at number 1, everything about him. I know it's a bit of a cop-out to say that the biggest red flag is everything that Jonah Hill has done, but am I wrong? As mentioned on this list, this guy has shifted his weight up and down, he's ignored his cast and crew while on set, he's flippy-floppy all over the genre map, and he's been mentally manipulative towards the women in his life. Jonah was a light in the early days. People remember him bringing joy to the set and always being in a good mood. But as the years went by, things got worse and worse, to the point that he now just does his job, grabs his check, and moves on to the next project. Now that he's been outed as being a mentally manipulative man in his personal life, we can only imagine the slew of backlash and cancellation that Jonah is surely about to face.
Number 10. Billboard Music Awards. At the Billboard Music Awards in May, Cara Delevingne stole the show and captured everyone's attention with her erratic behavior and apparent obsession with Megan Thee Stallion. Several of the model's antics ended up going viral following the show, including her peering around a corner and licking her lips while staring at Megan as she posed for the photographers, which I guess was Cara's idea of a joke. Cara could be seen repeatedly lurking around the rapper, ducking in and out of the shot while sticking her tongue out and shouting. The photos took Twitter by storm, with one user writing, "Your chances of being watched by Cara Delevingne are slim but never zero." Eventually, she ran onto the red carpet and grabbed the train of Megan's dress to give the photos some added movement. Some people believe that Megan looked irritated by it all. Not only that, but video footage from a party resurfaced online which showed Cara attempting to kiss Megan while they were on the dance floor, and Megan literally had to grab her shoulders and hold her back. If you're loving this video so far, please hit that like button, it would really help us out. Number 9. Licking Azalea Banks. Not too long ago, a video went viral of the model attempting to lick the rapper Azalea Banks while she was performing her hit track 212 at Leah McSweeney's Halloween party last year. The video was pretty telling because you could see that Azalea got to the end of her song, and Cara was literally on her knees in front of her with her tongue out, working her way up the rapper's legs until she was standing alongside the musician. Yes, she seemed like she was licking the entire length of her body, but it's only weird if Azalea says so, and the rapper apparently didn't seem to mind, and responded to the video on Twitter, saying that Cara is her girl through and through. Quote, "There were plenty of times I would just hide Cara in my apartment for days at a time to make sure she got some deep sleep and some actual food and wasn't just thrown out amongst the wolves like that." Well, it seems like the nature of their relationship is super ambiguous, but obviously there's a lot of love there. Number 8. Peg the Patriarchy. In 2021, Cara attended the Met Gala wearing a white bulletproof vest with the words "Peg the Patriarchy" on it. The look drew a lot of attention and praise, but only at first. Eventually, the vest drummed up a lot of controversy as Cara was accused of stealing the message from Luna Matatas, a queer woman of color who trademarked the phrase in 2015. In an Instagram post, Luna wrote, "While I'm giddy that Peg the Patriarchy made it to the Met Gala, Cara Delevingne tried to pull it off as their own. No credit to me, the creator and the owner of the trademark." Ironically, Luna said that she trademarked the phrase because she was concerned that people like Cara would co-opt her movement, and that the supermodel would grossly misrepresent everything that the original term would stand for. According to Luna, the movement is about subversion. It's not sexual and it's not about men, which is exactly how Cara described it to Keke Palmer when she was being interviewed. So when she posted the outfit on Instagram, her comment section filled up with people demanding that she credit the original designer, which she never ended up doing. Number 7. The Doja Cat photo. At the Billboard Music Awards, Cara Delevingne and Megan Thee Stallion were seated next to each other, and Doja Cat was seated in the front row in front of them. Several clips of the moment went viral on Twitter as fans pointed out that it looked like Megan and Doja were trying to have a conversation with one another, but Cara was constantly interrupting. The whole night was crazy. Whether she was literally on the floor trying to take photos of Doja or sticking her tongue out at Megan, her inappropriate antics eventually led people to accuse the model of fetishizing black women. You might think that's a bit of a reach, but Megan definitely seemed uncomfortable with that kind of attention on her, and even posted a photo to Instagram of her and Doja next to each other with Cara photoshopped out of the picture. It wasn't exactly subtle because everyone saw the original version of the photo, which shows that Cara was actually sitting between them at the time. Number 6. Amber Heard affair. The 2022 defamation trial between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard was really quite explosive, and it exposed a number of shocking revelations about both parties. But something that really caught everyone's attention was a leaked deposition that went viral online during the trial, which suggested that Cara was involved in a three-way affair between Amber and her billionaire ex-boyfriend Elon Musk. Musk. The video featured a key witness in Josh Drew, who was married to one of Amber's friends at the time, who said that to his knowledge, Amber heard Elon Musk and Cara Delevingne spent the night together. The three of them reportedly hooked up at Johnny's downtown LA penthouse in late 2016 after somewhere around the time that he and Amber split up. But there was speculation, just like with James Franco, that Amber was seeing Cara and Elon while she was still with Johnny. In the end, the supermodel did not have to testify in the trial, but for a period of time it certainly seemed like she was going to get pulled into the legal battle. Number 5. Coachella. Beyoncé's culture-shaking performance at the 2018 Coachella Music Festival became so iconic that it was literally called Baychella. Like everyone else, Cara was a huge fan of the show and had nothing but good things to say. She wrote on Instagram, "I am speechless. That performance made me burst into tears and sent shivers down my spine." But her followers were not too happy with that and accused her of hypocrisy, because before the event, Cara was one of the loudest voices supporting the No-Chella movement, which was a boycott of the festival after the owner was caught making donations to anti-LGBTQ+ causes. As the backlash against her started escalating, she hit back at critics on Instagram saying, "I am allowed to shame that man and show my appreciation of an artist at the same time. I still refuse to go to a festival that is owned by someone who is anti-LGBTQ+ and pro-gun." But her followers certainly didn't see it that way, and a messy debate took place in her comment section. Number 4. The Jimmy Choo ad. In 2017, the Me Too movement was gaining some real momentum, largely due to Harvey Weinstein being exposed as a serial predator. Cara Delevingne was one of the women who came forward with her own disturbing allegations about him that same year, and revealed on Instagram that Harvey had convinced her to follow him to his hotel room and tried to kiss her before she managed to escape. But even though Cara was brave enough to speak up against sexual harassment, it somehow backfired on her when she decided to star in an ad for Jimmy Choo called Shimmer in the Dark. The short film shows her walking around New York City at night, drawing attention from several men on the street, who then start catcalling her and complimenting her. But the attention that she gets is framed as a good thing, and that's what really seemed to anger people, as they pointed to the hypocrisy of it all. Even though most of the backlash was directed at Cara, Jimmy Choo eventually decided to pull the ad as it was deemed too controversial. Number 3. Stealing shirt designs. In 2015, the owner of Other Wild design studio, Rachel Burks, started selling feminist t-shirts with the slogan that was created in the 70s. She was doing it ethically and as a collaboration with the original designer. The t-shirts said, "The future is female," and they were an instant hit. But when Cara got her hands on them and posted the shirts on Instagram, they really blew up because of her huge following. The British model saw a pretty good business opportunity and announced that she was going to be making and selling her own version of the shirt and giving some of the proceeds to charity. But fans were quick to point out that she hadn't designed the shirt, and therefore it wasn't right to just sell it without crediting the original makers. And once Other Wild design studio caught on, they accused Cara of stealing the idea from a small business. They argued about who had the right to print the slogan, but because Cara was on the receiving end of most of the backlash, she eventually caved and agreed to link the company's website in her posts about the t-shirt. Number 2. Julia Fox comments. During an episode of their Forbidden Fruits podcast last year, Julia Fox and her co-host Nikki Takesh recounted a bizarre story of Cara being inappropriate towards Azealia Banks. The story goes that the two of them were at a party where the rapper was performing, and when they noticed something weird, Nikki said, "We looked to the side of the stage and we see this person trying to keep pushing past security, and we realized it was Cara Delevingne." Julia then said that they realized very quickly that Cara was wasted, and that after several attempts, she finally made her way up on stage while Azealia was performing and even stole the mic from her. Julia said that Cara's behavior was thirsty, and she could tell by Azalea's face that she was over it and just wanted to have her moment. It was a funny story that lines up very well with the video of Cara trying to lick Azalea's leg on stage, but it's probably just the way they party together, considering that the two of them are close friends. And coming in at number 1, the awkward interview. In the middle of a promotional tour for her film Paper Towns, Cara appeared on Good Day Sacramento, and it was a complete disaster from start to finish. First of all, the anchors called her Carla instead of Cara, then they asked her whether or not she had read the book on which the film is based, and why she didn't seem more excited to be on the show despite making millions from the movie. In all fairness, Cara really didn't seem too enthusiastic when it came to promoting the film, and she eventually refused to respond to their questions. She really wasn't giving them anything to work with at all, except for quite a bad attitude. But it didn't really help that one of the anchors straight up told her, "We'll let you take a little nap and maybe get a Red Bull," essentially kicking her off the program. Although there is still a debate to this day about what made the interview so uncomfortable to watch, it is certainly one for the books. Number 10. 10, sharing the stage. J-Lo didn't hold back when it came to her opinion on sharing the stage with Shakira at the 2020 Super Bowl halftime show. In her newly released documentary called Halftime, she labeled it as the worst idea in the world. Quote, "If it was going to be a double headliner, they should have given us 20 minutes. That's what they should have effing done." Basically, it turns out that Jennifer was frustrated with the NFL for booking 2 headliners and making them share the same amount of time that any solo performer would receive, as opposed to doubling it and giving the women extra time to shine. As a result, fans slammed the artist for coming off as entitled. While it's true that they only gave the performers 6 minutes each, the action-packed show garnered immense praise from fans across the globe, with many fans commending the women for showcasing their Latin heritage so brilliantly. What J-Lo was really mad about though is that previous solo headliners like Beyonce and The Weeknd received 14 minutes to perform, but judging by her complaints, it's clear that she feels offended that they asked her to share the stage at all. Number 9. Cheating allegations. Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck have had an on-again, off-again romance that has been going on since the 2000s, with fans even nicknaming the couple Benifer. I mean, these two just got married this year, after they first got engaged nearly 2 decades ago, but the timeline of their relationship is a huge red flag, and it included alleged cheating. So in July of 2002, Lopez filed for divorce from her second husband, Chris Judd, citing irreconcilable differences. But this news broke just months after Lopez had wrapped the movie Glee alongside her then boyfriend Ben. Even though she vehemently denied cheating rumors, Ben took out an ad in The Hollywood Reporter gushing about Lopez before her divorce wasn't yet finalized. In fact, even Chris Judd's father, Larry, spoke out against the couple and accused J-Lo of being unfaithful to his son. He insinuated that the affair started during the filming of Glee. Quote, "I thought Mr. Affleck would honor a married woman and not just go right into the trailer," and added that she'd be happier if she'd just tell the truth and no one in her little circle is going to say one negative thing to her. But we'll never really know the truth of what happened. Number 8. Music theft. The star has been accused of stealing and borrowing background tracks and vocals from other artists for years. One of the stars who accused her of doing this was Usher in 2005. He claimed that she stole a song that he cast aside while recording his hugely successful album called Confessions. Usher claimed that J-Lo's single Get Right is actually a re-recorded version of Ride, a song that he co-wrote the year before, which was only available online. He said, quote, "I hate it, but I'd better get some of the publishing rights or else. I didn't put it on my album because I couldn't get it right, but I didn't expect J-Lo to just take it." And apart from being accused of stealing the same sample song that Mariah Carey used for Loverboy, J-Lo was also given songs that were initially intended for Ashanti, which is why a lot of people claim what happened between the two artists was straight up music theft. In September of 2001, Lopez released I'm Real from her second studio album, J-Lo, that she worked on with Irv Gotti. But the song was already recorded and mixed with Ashanti's vocals, which is why you can still hear her background vocals in Lopez's version. Number 7. Makeup artist feud. Scott Barnes, who worked for J-Lo for the past 20 years, has had to deal with so much of the star's crazy hot and cold behavior. In the mid-2000s, the star essentially banished her longtime makeup artist, Scott Barnes, after rumors surfaced that someone had leaked info to the press about her and Mark Anthony's secret marriage ceremony. Speaking on the Jeff Probst show in 2012, when asked about how J-Lo treated him, he said, quote, "It was like I had the plague." But interestingly enough, eventually she ended up giving Barnes his old job back again after learning the truth, but apparently failed to apologize for being so cold and ruthless towards him. I mean, she literally cut him off without a word and blamed him for the leak without even confronting him. Barnes went on to say, quote, "I went right back to work with her and we just never spoke about it again," which is even weirder. The funny thing is, her celebrity makeup artist would go on to work with her for another 6 years and insisted that they remain on good terms despite the fact that she ghosted him and didn't even apologize for it. Number 6. The Mark Anthony romance. Celebrity gossip magazines could not get enough of the power couple in the early 2000s. They were absolutely everywhere and it seemed like fans loved the pairing. But their beginnings as a couple were super questionable to say the least. Anthony married former Miss Universe Dayanara Torres in 2000, while Lopez was dating Ben Affleck roughly around the same time. But the on-again, off-again couple picked their romance back up while Anthony was still married to Dayanara. So less than a week after Anthony's divorce was finalized, the couple surprised fans by getting married in a small, small casual ceremony in her Beverly Hills home in early June. It really begs the question of whether or not JLo was some kind of homewrecker, because the timeline of the rekindled relationship seems really off. I mean, he actually broke Dayanara's heart, and she said, quote, "You go through hell. I cried until there were no tears left, until I was numb. I didn't want to eat, I didn't care to get dressed or take a shower, I just wanted to lie there." Anthony's feelings for Jennifer might have been there all along because the two had history, but he should have put way more thought into who he chose to marry in the first place. So in a way, they're both at fault here. Number 5. Insensitive comments. To give you some background on why everyone felt that JLo was trashing belly dancing. So a part of the 2020 Super Bowl performance featured young dancers sitting in glowing cages, which many people assume represented the immigrant children in cages at the US border. But she apparently had a hard time convincing the NFL to do this, and said, quote, "I'm trying to give you something with substance, not just us out there shaking out effing asses and effing belly dancing." She went on to say that she wants something real, something that's gonna make a statement, something that's gonna say we belong here and we have something to offer. Now, if you're confused about why that was so controversial, essentially she compared the art of belly dancing to just shaking your butt for the hell of it. In fact, that particular line was shared across Twitter and people were big mad. It was just a little culturally insensitive to say, considering the fact that the dance has long been associated with Middle Eastern cultures, and it's something that Shakira has become known for, using it to channel her father's Lebanese Syrian Arab roots. Number 4. Avoiding the Bronx. This one, train wreck of an ad campaign, led people to openly mock both Chrysler and Jennifer Lopez. The central premise of the ad was that sometimes JLo will drive through her old hood in the South Bronx in a Fiat 500 just to stay inspired. Although it sounds ridiculous, the marketing campaign obviously tried to draw on the singer's famous Jenny from the Block era. Most people recognize the song in which she pays tribute to growing up in the Bronx, which had been a solid part of her image since the 90s. In fact, the singer even titled her debut album On the 6, which is a clear reference to the New York subway train. A press release at the time even stated that she would be traveling through the streets of Manhattan to the Bronx where she grew up. But the ad backfired when the Smoking Gun reported that Lopez never actually went to the Bronx to film the ad, and that a body double stand-in was used instead, calling it, quote, "such a breathtaking assemblage of urban cliches," and that was putting it lightly. Number 3. The movie line interview. The infamous movie line interview in 1998 that could have almost ruined JLo's career was truly worse than you can imagine. She was 27 at the time and fresh off the success of her film Selena. She basically decided to trash all the other celebrities that were big at the time and tried to trivialize their career and contribution to the industry. In fact, when asked about Madonna, she actually said, quote, "Do I think she's a great performer? Yeah. Do I think she's a great actress? No. Acting is what I do, so I'm harder on people when they say, oh, I can do that, I can act. And I'm like, hey, don't spit on my craft." It was so ironic because JLo would go on to do both music and acting for the rest of her career, and critics also trashed her acting on the big screen. Also, at the time, Madonna had been a star for a lot longer than JLo, so there was no real comparison there. And when Gwyneth Paltrow was brought up, Jennifer almost seemed to laugh and made it clear that she didn't take her fellow actress's career seriously. Quote, "Tell me what she's been in. I swear to God, I don't remember anything she was in. Some people get hot by association. I heard more about her and Brad Pitt than I ever heard about her work." Yikes. Number 2. Accusations of racism. 20 years ago, Lopez was approaching full actualization as an entertainer, but a single from her second album, JLo, almost derailed her career entirely. The Murder Inc. remix of I'm Real, which features Ja Rule and Own Radio in 2001, was ruined by the N-bomb that she drops in her final verse. The issue was that the song was an instant hit, so much so that 10 years later, in 2011, Billboard gave it the 6th spot on its 40 biggest duets of all time list. But rightfully so, people were outraged by her use of the loaded term, not only because she's a Latina artist, but at her level of success, where she has a platform and sets an example to young fans. Using such a derogatory word is at best offensive. But as the accusations of racism started to mount against the star, she eventually spoke out to defend her actions on the Today Show. Quote, "For anyone who thinks or suggests that I'm racist is really absurd and hateful to me. Although many people people think this is not an excuse, it was later revealed that the track was actually written by Ja Rule himself, and apparently he encouraged her to say it. And number 1, fired a maid. This one is really indefensible. Jennifer Lopez allegedly got a German hotel maid fired for asking for an autograph. Frey Dodaj was a staff member at the luxury Melia Hotel in Dusseldorf, Germany during Lopez's stay in 2012. She was a big fan of JLo and worked up the courage to knock on the star's hotel door in Dusseldorf to ask for an autograph, and was promptly turned away. Frey claims that she was relieved from her post the day after the incident. She told The Sun, quote, "I am an incredibly big fan, so I took all my courage and rang the doorbell to get an autograph, but I was rejected by 2 assistants at the door. A day later, the cleaning company that employed me at the hotel called and said that Ms. Lopez had complained. I was fired right there on the phone." If the incident really happened, it's hard to ignore the irony when you remember that Jennifer played a hotel maid in the movie Made in Manhattan. After receiving a rightful amount of backlash, the pop star wrote on Twitter, quote, "Come on, thought you knew me better than this, would never get anyone fired over an autograph. First I heard of this was on Twitter, #hurtful.
Number 10. Cheating on his wife. Adam Levine has been married to his Victoria's Secret model wife Beata Prinsloo for almost a decade, and the couple have 2 children together, with another one on the way, which actually was like just announced too. Outwardly, they really seem to have an idyllic life and make for the perfect celebrity couple, but that all came crashing down on Monday when an Instagram model named Sumner Stroh went on TikTok and posted a video called "Having an Affair with a Man Who's Married to a Victoria's Secret Model," which was basically a whole video confessing that they had been in a relationship with the lead singer of Maroon 5 for a whole year. But to make matters worse, the shocking news comes just 1 week after his wife announced she is expecting their 3rd child, which is when Adam DM'd his former mistress asking if she would be okay with him and his wife naming their new baby after her. Sumner actually posted the full message, which read, "Okay, serious question, I'm having another baby, and if it's a boy, I really want to name it Sumner. You okay with that? Dead serious." Sumner said that by this point they hadn't been talking for several months, so she was extra surprised when she heard from him again. If you feel like this story is wild, let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. I personally think the whole naming your baby after your former mistress is pretty out there. Number 9. Strange comments. If you're wondering where Adam got the audacity to cheat on his wife, it was really no surprise when you look at his tone-deaf comments about infidelity in 2009, when he said, "I have cheated, and you know what? There is nothing worse than the feeling of doing it." So apparently, Adam might think the hardest part of the cheating is actually the act of doing it for the cheater. What about the people who are being cheated on though? Did he ever think that it might be indescribably painful for them? He also said that his best feature was that he was able to detach himself. Quote, "It's also my worst feature. I let myself off the hook to the point where it's a bad thing. People are hard on themselves, I'm not." Not only that, but Adam also caught quite a bit of backlash for his comments in a 2014 interview with GQ magazine. The singer addresses his reputation as a bit of an egomaniac. He said, "I'm not arrogant, I'm cocky. It's different. Cocky is playful. Others certainly would beg to differ though." So the whole thing just made him come off as really obnoxious, and most people would see that interview as a major red flag when it comes to his personality. Number 8. I hate this country. In 2013, Adam Levine ended up entangled in controversy after he said while live on air on The Voice, "I hate this country." The next day, all of social media across the US was seemingly up in arms, which he was surprised about. In all fairness, his words were kind of twisted by being taken out of context here. He made the remark as a jest in response to contestants being eliminated from the show, which he was obviously sad about. He didn't want to see them go, and so playing up the drama of the moment, he made the remark, but as a joke, not seriously. However, when people decided to attack him from all sides about his statement, his response was pretty snide, I gotta say. He responded to the backlash by consulting the dictionary, explaining that it had only been a joke, and then going on to explain what a joke meant by providing the definitions from the dictionary for the words joke, humorless, lighthearted, and misunderstand. Yeesh.
Wow.
Could have just been like, it's a joke. You don't need to give everyone all the definitions to words. We know what words mean, Adam Levine, okay? Number 7, bad attitude. There is no denying Adam Levine's sex symbol status, but for that exact same reason, he has also been labeled a bit too cocky for his own good. A lot of people would say that he seems to have developed a pretty bad attitude when it comes to appreciating his fan base. In fact, just last year, a TikTok went viral of Adam going off on a fan for coming on stage. The incident happened during a Maroon 5 performance when he was belting out the band's 2004 hit Sunday Morning, and an overly eager fan suddenly rushed the stage and reached for him. The video shows that security quickly grabbed the woman and pulled her away from Adam, who was then seen cursing, shuddering, and shaking off the experience before getting back into the music. Many were offended by his visceral reaction, suggesting he should humble himself and remember that the band is only successful because of its fans. Which, I mean, fair enough. It's true, that's how it works. Number 6, yoga practice. When it comes to Adam Levine's reasoning behind getting in a good stretch, it has less to do with his love of the practice or the spiritual elements of yoga, and more to do with his love for the look of the people who take the classes with him. Back in 2002, when Adam Levine was interviewed by Details magazine about his connection to yoga, he responded by pointing to his pelvis and said, "You know what yoga is good for? I'll tell you what yoga is good for. Doing it." That's not a red flag. I don't know what is. That's pretty red flaggy to me. Number 5, hypocrite. One of the things you really need to watch out for when it comes to the internet is what you say, because your words could come back to haunt you years later if they fall into the hands of the right people, and the right people want to hold them up and be like, look at this person, they're awful. At the same time, I do think we should forgive people who feel genuine cringe and remorse for awful things that they wrote on the internet, like more than a decade ago, because people can change. It's possible. I've seen it. In the case of Adam Levine, though, it didn't take too long for people to turn his words against him after he seemingly changed his mind when it came to his thoughts on celebrity fragrances. Almost overnight. Or well, not quite overnight, but like about a year or 2 years later, which is still a pretty short turnaround, I think. In 2011, Levine took to Twitter, disgusted by the idea of celebrity fragrances, and in 2012, he also shared his opinions on celebrity fragrances in an interview, which he saw as a massive money grab. Quote, "I absolutely loathe the idea of doing a celebrity fragrance simply as a moneymaker. Personal brand to make money? Vomit." In the fall of 2013, though, he seemingly changed his tune, putting out his own fragrance that came in a bottle resembling a microphone. I think that one just speaks for itself. Number 4, reasoning for not being a misogynist. Okay, but if I sleep with so many women, how can I be a misogynist? That seems to be the summary of Adam Levine's reasoning for not being a misogynist, which, not very sound. Adam Levine admitted that he sees men as being either misogynistic pigs or men who just really love women. Now, how would he categorize himself? Why, of course, as a man who just really loves women. Going on to explain in an interview in 2012 that maybe the reason I was promiscuous and wanted to sleep with a lot of them is that I love them so much. I'm not sure if that's what's going on there, Adam, or if that's how that works really at all. Number 3, response to being called out for cheating. After Sumner Stroh came out and claimed that she had an affair with Adam Levine and that the two were dating for about a year, which she expressed regretting, explaining that in retrospect she felt exploited in regards to the whole thing, being more naive at the time of that affair, Adam responded to the allegations. His response was to kind of apologize, but mostly deny that it happened. He denied ever having an affair and reduced their exchange to flirtatious messages, which he said crossed a line. But basically, that was it in regards to any wrongdoing on his part. Quote, "I used poor judgment in speaking with anyone other than my wife in any kind of flirtatious manner. I did not have an affair. Nevertheless, I crossed the line during a regrettable period of my life." I mean, he sent that message about this baby, this newborn baby that's coming. That was only a little while ago, so what regrettable part of your life? All of it? I don't know. Number 2, we will get through it together. Other celebrities have critiqued another part of Adam Levine's response to the cheating scandal. Levine went on to say in his response to Sumner's claims, quote, "I have taken proactive steps to remedy this with my family. My wife and my family is all I care about in this world. To be this naive and stupid enough to risk the only thing that truly matters to me was the greatest mistake I could ever make. I will never make it again. I take full responsibility. We will get through it, and we will get through it together." American actress Chrishell Strauss seemingly wasn't buying clarifying the remorse and took issue with Levine's wording. Chrishell tweeted, "When apologizing for cheating publicly, I hate the 'we will get through it together' part from a man. Don't speak for her. You've done enough." Number 1. 2 more women enter the chat. Other than the claims made by Sumner Stroh, which are pretty bad, especially regarding Adam wanting to name his and Beattie's future child after her potentially, 2 other women have also come out of the woodwork, claiming they also got raunchy messages from Adam Levine as well. Sumner also posted a response TikTok to her first video, where she wanted to expand on why she shared details of her interactions with Levine in the first place and express her remorse about the whole thing, clarifying she does not think of herself as the victim and that to her it is Prinsloo and her children who are the victims of this scandal. She also shared that she really only got into the affair with Adam Levine because he manipulated her, with him claiming that his relationship with Prinsloo was over, but that they were still presenting as a couple for publicity's sake. Marika, a comedian who has also come out to share her receipts, claims that she called out Adam Levine on being married and flirting with her during their time messaging, and he confirmed he was, but added, "It's a bit complicated." Is it? Is it a bit complicated, or are you married and you just want to send messages to other people?